My beloved child, I never stepped away when the weight felt like too much. I didn't slip out of the room when your tears were quiet. I stayed close, so close that if you had stretched your hand the slightest bit, you would have noticed mine resting over yours. These last hours were not wasted time. They were holy moments. I waited while your racing thoughts slowed, while your tired soul took a breath, while your aching heart realized I was still right beside you. You've been trying to fix everything in your own strength, running from thought to thought and ending up in the same place. I remained still, not because I do nothing, but because I needed you to stop long enough to see me. This isn't just another minute slipping by. This is the moment I arranged to draw your attention. Every distraction that didn't satisfy you, every conversation that left you emptier, I allowed them so you would arrive here, in this pause, where my voice can finally enter. I don't need big words from you. I don't need you to make it all right first. I just want you to notice that I am with you, listening, waiting, and ready to speak into the very place you've been afraid to face. The delay you felt has never been a rejection. I was holding time, holding space, holding you, until the noise dimmed enough for you to hear what the world could not give. This is not chance. You are not hearing this by accident. Heaven has waited for this opening in your day, so my love can come without resistance. I've stood beside you, not as a stranger in the background, but as the one who never left. I've waited for your soul to open wide enough for what you've needed to finally land. You've searched for rest in routines, advice, and distractions that promised relief but left you more tired. You scrolled for answers to fill the emptiness, but everything faded as fast as it arrived. You leaned on voices that fed your fears instead of calming them. I watched you stretch yourself thin, handing pieces of your heart to people who were never meant to carry it. Under all of that, a quiet longing remained, deeper than noise, deeper than habit, calling for what cannot be shaken. That longing wasn't random or weak. It was me drawing you back to the one place your soul can truly settle. My presence has not been missing. It has been gently surrounding you, waiting for the moment when lesser things failed so you could finally notice what never left. The peace you want won't come from perfect plans or certain outcomes. It comes from knowing you are not alone in the chaos. I am no visitor to your storms. I've walked through every anxious moment with you, not far away, but as steady as your own breath. The world teaches you to numb pain, push harder, and bury what you can't explain. I didn't come to numb you. I came to wake you. I came to wrap the broken places with peace that doesn't depend on a calm forecast, but on knowing the one who commands the wind. I'm not here to scold you for where you searched. I already knew the paths you'd try. I let those empty wells run dry, not to punish you, but to protect you, so you wouldn't settle for small comforts when true rest was already extended. Rest is me. It isn't found in schedules, relationships, or predictions. It's found in surrender, not the kind that quits, but the kind that lets go. Letting go of weights that were never yours, letting go of control as your safety, letting go of trying to earn what I freely give. I'm not impressed with perfection. I'm moved by honesty. And this very moment is soaked in mercy. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to hold yourself together while you fall apart inside. I am the refuge you've been reaching for without knowing. I am the rest you hoped existed. I offer it now with open arms. Come close. Let striving stop. Let the performance fall. Let your soul breathe for the first time in days. While you've searched everywhere for relief, I've been drawing nearer, offering what the world cannot give and time cannot take. My peace is not temporary. It isn't earned. It is not fragile. It is stronger than fear, steadier than emotion, and more present than any solution you've tried. Stop chasing, beloved. What you've been seeking is me, and I have already found you. The swirl in your mind hasn't been missed. I saw every question, every replay, every tug between what you believe and what you fear. You didn't speak it out loud, but I heard it. I always hear you, even when your lips are still. You tried to look calm while pressure wrapped itself around your thoughts. You analyzed words, outcomes, and what-ifs, hoping control would bring clarity. But clarity doesn't come from endless loops. It comes from lifting your eyes off the storm and fixing them on me. You've tried so hard not to break in front of others, holding everything with a quiet smile while the weight pressed against your chest. I saw it. I watched you keep standing while expectations leaned heavy. Hear me now. You were never meant to carry all this alone. I'm not just aware of your battle. I'm in it with you. Every unseen war, I stood at your side, not passive but active. I am your shield under fire, the whisper when lies get loud, the stillness when panic grabs hold. Even as your thoughts swing between doubt and desire, I am steady. I am not shaken by fear, surprised by anxiety, or ashamed of struggle. You're not failing me when you feel overwhelmed. You're not disappointing me when your mind spins. I didn't come with condemnation, I came with comfort. I've waited for this opening to tell you, you are not weak because you feel worn. You are not broken because the thoughts feel heavy. There is strength in admitting your need and victory in leaning on the one who knows every silent cry. You've judged the battle in your mind as proof something is wrong with you. But what if it reveals your sensitivity, your discernment, your deep awareness of the weight around you? What if you're not falling behind, but becoming more awake to the things trying to pull you away from me? That heaviness is not a curse, it is a call. I want to step into that battlefield and bring the calm your thoughts can't create. You don't have to fight for clarity. I am your clarity. You don't have to figure it out before you sleep. I hold tomorrow, and I'm already preparing the peace you'll wake to. Let my nearness be your rest tonight. Let my closeness silence the accusations. Let me speak into confusion with words that realign you to truth. No thought is too dark for me. No doubt makes me turn away. I'm not pacing nervously, waiting for you to get it right. I am seated beside you, reaching into your whirlwind with gentleness, authority, and endless grace. You are not lost, you're being led. You are not drowning. You're being held by my thoughts for you. Trust that I have already begun restoring the calm you thought was out of reach. Breathe. Release. Come close. I see the storm within, and with one word, I can still it. When your heart sank from feeling overlooked, I was there, not watching from afar, but leaning close, ready to remind you of truth. You wondered if your tears moved me, if I still saw your ache, if I still chose you, especially when your world went quiet. You wrestled with the fear that maybe I turned away. I did not. At the very moment doubt whispered that you didn't matter, my gaze never left you. I watched with compassion, not disappointment. When others were too busy to see your worth, I cherished each breath. When the world spun on, I stood still within your pain and chose to stay. You are not forgotten. You have never been invisible to me, not in struggle, not in sacrifice, not in solitude. You've grown tired waiting for someone to see how deep you are. I see it. I've seen the effort with no applause, the costly choices no one knew, the faithful steps with unanswered questions. Hear me clearly. My affection for you hasn't dimmed as you doubted. If anything, it burns brighter. When opinions about you shifted, I stayed the same. When you questioned your worthiness after all you endured, I answered from the cross, and that answer still stands. I didn't love a polished version of you. I chose you as you are. You don't need flawless days for me to care. My love isn't a reward, it's the reality you were made for. You bring me joy by simply existing. You matter not for what you do, but for who you are, mine. The quiet you called absence was space I gave so you could learn that my love is deeper than feelings and stronger than silence. You are still chosen, first, not second. I don't regret loving you. I don't reconsider pursuing your heart. I formed you with joy, and I watch you with tenderness. Your mistakes don't push me away. Your questions don't change my commitment. I won't compare you to anyone. No one else could replace you. Heaven still celebrates you even when earth forgets. You're held in every moment, guarded in every battle, guided in every step. The pull you feel toward me now is proof I never stopped drawing you. You are not just loved, you are known, treasured, and forever marked as mine. Let that truth sink deeper than your wounds. Let it quiet the echoes in empty spaces. You don't have to earn what is freely given. I want my love to wrap your weary soul like a blanket, reminding you that while the world rushes past, I will not. You mistook my quiet for disinterest, but that's not true. When everything else demanded your attention, I chose stillness so you could learn the sound that doesn't shout. The sound that anchors and awakens. I could have broken through with thunder. I could have overpowered your distractions. But love doesn't force, love invites. You've heard many opinions, some kind, some confused, pulling you in different directions, making you question your path, your purpose, even your identity. I've been speaking, but not with volume. I've spoken with presence, with a gentle weight on your spirit that told you I was near even when emotions went numb. The tug you feel when you pause, that quiet ache, that's me. My words carry eternal weight even unspoken. I don't need noise to make an impact. I speak in ways that bypass your ears and settle in your soul. Hear me now. The quiet was sacred. I wasn't withholding because you were unworthy. I was letting your spirit become still enough to notice me again. You've grown used to constant motion and stimulus. Yet my deepest revelations often meet you when there is no music, no spotlight, no performance, just you and me. I don't need spectacle to prove I'm real. My power shows up as consistency. When others stepped away, I remained. When answers didn't come from the places you expected, I was preparing a better response, one not shaped by trends, but by heaven's heartbeat. When you couldn't feel me working, I wrote chapters you haven't lived yet. When your prayers seemed to disappear, I gathered every syllable and answered in my perfect way. Don't confuse silence with neglect. A gardener watches seeds beneath the soil, waiting for the right time to break them open. I've been cultivating unseen life. The seed doesn't hear the gardener speak, yet it grows by the warmth and care of his hands. That's what I've been doing, shaping an environment for your spirit to wake again. Delay didn't mean I turned away. It meant I went deeper than days or weeks could measure. I waited because false expectations had to be laid down. I waited so I could meet you without the noise of comparison or fear. Now that your heart is quiet, I can whisper what you truly need. I am still speaking. and what I speak over your life overrides contradiction around you. My words don't expire. My promises don't fade. My faithfulness was never tied to your perfection. I didn't leave the conversation. I waited for the space where my whisper could be heard again, not just by your ears, but by your soul. Now that you're here, I will go on speaking, not to condemn, but to reveal. I will uncover truths you missed when life was loud. I will show you what I've been preparing. I will keep speaking to heal, to clarify, and to anchor you, not through volume, but through trust. I felt the moment you sighed and began to let go, not from peace, but from exhaustion. You didn't say it out loud, but your heart whispered, maybe it's not going to happen. I heard that quiet surrender. Not the kind that trusts me, but the kind that gives up because disappointment stacked too high. You folded your hope and tucked it away, wondering if you misheard me. Hear me now. I have not abandoned what I began. Just because you don't see evidence doesn't mean my hands stopped moving. What looks like silence to you is set up to me. What looks finished to you is unfolding in my plan. I don't drop my work halfway. I don't lose track. I finish what I start, and I keep what has your name on it. You thought I walked away from the request closest to your heart. I didn't. I was more involved than you knew. There were things to align, hearts to soften, paths to clear, so the fulfillment could reach you safely. What felt like rejection was redirection, not away from promise, but into position to receive it. You had grown attached to timing and outcomes. I gently loosened your grip so your heart would stay open to what I intended. The delay wasn't wasted. I shielded you from stepping into something unprepared. I saw obstacles that would have hurt you if I gave it too soon. I saw the compromises you might have settled for. My restraint was protection, not punishment. I have shaped this answer with more care than you imagined. You asked me to move, and when things didn't change, you assumed I turned away. I didn't. I was building quietly, laying stones for a path you'll soon walk with joy. I have never been idle. I have been strategic. There are meetings you don't know about, conversations where your name is spoken in rooms you haven't entered, connections forming by design, not by chance. There are changes in you, silent, subtle, sacred, preparing your character to hold the blessing. If I gave it then, it might have crushed you. Now I'm shaping you to carry it with grace and gratitude. I haven't stopped. I've been investing even when the process felt invisible. The seed was not dead. It was germinating in my timing. You saw the surface. I tended the roots. You are closer now than you've ever been. I did not let it die. I preserved it for the appointed time. It will not return empty. What you think you lost is still in motion, even if you can't see it yet. Trust me again. Not just with words, but with waiting. Dream again. Believe again. Pick up the hope you buried and hold it with open hands. I didn't forget what you asked. I wanted it to arrive with peace, not pressure. Let this remind you, I'm still working, still building, still shaping what your heart dared to desire. And I will bring it in a way that leaves no doubt. Only I could have done it. There were days you questioned everything, your worth, your ability, your next step. You replayed choices, worried you ruined something with one wrong move, or delayed me by missing a sign. I saw the heaviness of feeling unqualified to hold what you once believed for. The fear of missing your moment grew loud, and in that quiet fear, you began to shrink, thinking someone else could do it better. Deserved it more. While you wrestled, I guarded what your soul cried out for. I did not let anyone steal what carries your name. I did not allow it to slip to someone else. I placed it under my protection, untouched by error or interference. Even when you walked in circles, I kept the inheritance secure. I didn't leave it to chance. I covered it with grace, knowing when you'd be ready to walk toward it again. You were not disqualified by doubt. You were developed through it. I don't remove what I promised because your faith flickered. I nurture it in secret until you can receive it with gratitude, not strain. You nearly quit, calling the dream too far to hold. While you saw delay, I drafted strategy. I rewrote what darkness tried to distort. I rebuilt what fear tried to tear down. My faith in you didn't disappear when yours wavered. My plans are not based on your perfection. They are anchored in my covenant with you. And that covenant does not crack under questions. It deepens. I made you for more than getting by. I made you for purpose. Even in your lowest moments, I never let the vision slip away. When you thought the chance had passed, I preserved the space. When you believed too much time had gone by, I paused the process so nothing would be missed. I allowed stillness not to punish you, but to protect you. I placed boundaries around your promise that failure cannot cross. When you forgot what I whispered, I did not forget. I kept every word in motion. When belief went quiet, I carried what was too heavy. I remembered what you tried to forget because it hurt. You did not lose what was destined. You paused your approach, and I used that pause to refine you. As you rise again, what I preserved will be released with clarity, not confusion, with strength, not striving. The lie that it's too late was never mine. I am not limited by what you fear. I am not rushing you. I am restoring you. As I restore, I open roads you thought were closed. You won't have to force your way. What is yours will meet you on time, because I kept it safe. You were never too far for me to finish what I started. I hid the blessing where harm cannot reach, waiting for your spirit to receive it with fresh eyes and renewed hope. That readiness is unfolding, and what I preserved is returning, not distant, but placed into your hands when you can carry it with joy. It's easy to think nothing is happening when you can't see below the surface. You've been hoping for any movement to prove your prayers aren't lost, and because change hasn't shown up yet, doubt crept in like fog, telling you I forgot, or worse, that I'm not doing anything at all. Let me show you the truth that breaks appearances. The greatest shifts often happen where sight can't go. Roots grow long before branches rise. My work is hidden, not because it is absent, but because it is sacred. I'm arranging more than your surroundings. I'm aligning hearts, timing, and positions for what I'm about to release. You have not been stuck. You've been protected. You have not waited in vain. You've been stationed for order from above. While you counted the days, I measured the maturity of moments. I know exactly when the time is right, so things come together without chaos. I'm not only interested in you receiving what you want, I'm invested in you sustaining it. That's why I allowed silence and delayed events, because if I gave it too early, it would buckle under weak foundations. The pause has a purpose. I've fine-tuned the placement of people, prepared opportunities unseen, and softened environments that once seemed hard. Every step I slowed was a careful move to protect the future I'm building. What seems slow to you is perfect in my timeline. You're not behind, you're being calibrated. I know you've wanted to rush ahead and make shortcuts. I'm asking you, as your shepherd, to hold steady. If you run ahead, you'll miss what I set to meet you at the crossroads of my will and your readiness. I'm not improvising your story. I've written it with wisdom. I've accounted for what you don't yet know. I already hold answers to questions you haven't asked. You don't need to panic when it's quiet. You don't need to pound on doors I've already chosen to open when you arrive. What's coming isn't late, it's layered. It's built on timing set by heaven. I'm working across timelines, places, and generations. So what you receive carries weight that lasts beyond a moment. Others may seem to rush, but what I'm building in you will endure. I'm crafting something steady, rooted, eternal. When it arrives, you'll understand why the waiting mattered. It will fit you with ease, flow with grace, bless with abundance, and you'll know only I could arrange it. So no, it's not that nothing is happening. Everything is being positioned with precision. Soon you'll step into moments that feel effortless, not because they were easy, but because I prepared them long before you reached them. You will know the waiting was woven with strategy, kindness, and glory. Trust my pace. When it aligns, your prayers will be answered and your faith strengthened. You've had days when tension rose and then suddenly eased. You called it coincidence. It wasn't. It was me blocking what would have broken you. You cannot see all I divert, the hidden threats, the conversations you weren't invited to, the decisions made without your awareness that could have wounded you. I stood as a shield, absorbing chaos before it touched your door. I intercepted battles you never had to fight because I fought them for you. You didn't notice the detour that spared you from betrayal. You didn't see the pothole I redirected you around in what looked like inconvenience, but was intervention. You weren't aware of the rooms where your name was brought up with harm in mind, but I shut the mouths that accused you. I've been cutting off assignments meant to drain you and shake your identity. Just because you didn't see the wins doesn't mean they weren't fierce. It means I stood between you and the impact. I delayed conversations that would have discouraged you. I rerouted invitations that would have led to regret. I silenced messages laced with lies. I've watched your capacity and withheld what would have overwhelmed you. That's not absence. That's authority. I know the pressure you carry, so I protect your margin, rest, and stability. You've asked me to bless you. Before I pour increase, I've been your firewall. Before I let the rain of promise fall, I've held back floods of destruction. You are still standing, not simply because you're strong, but because I've surrounded you like an invisible wall. There were moments danger drew near while everything looked still, and I stepped in quietly and covered you. You may never know all I spared you from, but one day you'll see how many almosts never became reality, how many close calls never reached you, how many disasters dissolved before they formed. That was me, your savior, acting before you even asked. I will keep doing this. I don't react late. I move ahead. I prepare the atmosphere, clear the path, and remove the snare before your foot finds it. I see what stirs behind your back, not with fear, but with command. Nothing slips past me. No plot, scheme, or curse has authority over what I cover. My blood doesn't only cleanse, it protects. My presence doesn't only comfort, it shields. When you wake with peace for no obvious reason, it's because I canceled something aimed at you. When you enter a room and feel safe, it's because I went ahead, cleansing the space so you find favor, not warfare. I'm not only the God of breakthrough, I'm the God who blocks what should never come near. If I prevent something, it isn't punishment, it's providence. I'm not just moving you forward, I'm guarding your steps so hidden dangers can't drag you back. I'll keep doing it. Not because you earned it, but because I love you with a jealous love that refuses to let evil touch what is mine. You are covered more deeply than you know. When sudden peace settles where panic used to live, know this: I've been on watch, and nothing sent against you succeeded because I stopped it before it began. Those quiet tears you brushed away were not overlooked. When your eyes filled in the silence, when you hid your face so no one would ask, I saw. You wiped them quickly, calling them just human, something to move past. But I caught every tear. They were not weakness. They were wordless prayers, grief without language, pain your lips couldn't say but your soul released. I didn't flinch. I didn't look away. I leaned in and held them like treasure, because that's what they are to me. Proof that your heart is still alive, still tender, still reaching for me. Not one tear vanished without weight. I've gathered them, counted them, and kept them. I am not indifferent to sorrow. I don't rush you through emotion. I dwell with you in it. I sit in the quiet when thoughts race and words won't come. I recorded every drop that fell when you felt alone, every muffled sob, every moment the world ignored you and your own heart felt exposed. You don't know how deeply I'm moved when you bring me real pain instead of pretending it isn't there. I never asked you to be polished. I asked you to be real with me, and you were, even in small ways. You didn't realize how holy it is to cry before me, but heaven did. You didn't fail by feeling deeply or by struggling in silence. Those moments were not useless, they were heavy with meaning. I am not distant, waiting for you to tidy up. I am a present Father who bends down, holds you close, and lets the brokenness pour safely into my arms. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. I turn every drop into seeds of restoration. I water the future I planned with your rawest moments. Your sadness is not a setback. It's soil where my compassion grows deep. Don't believe the lie that no one notices. Don't think I am untouched by your struggle. I am near. I am engaged. I am preparing healing that isn't shallow or rushed, but rich and complete. I don't wave away your tears. I transform what caused them. While I hold them, I hold you, firmly, patiently, faithfully. You are never too much for me. Your waves of emotion don't push me away. They draw me close. You cannot cry me out of the room. You cannot be too broken for me to stay. My hands don't only bless, they catch, cradle, and comfort. Even now, I still hold those tears. The old ones, the fresh ones, and the ones you haven't let fall. They all matter to me. None are lost. In time, I'll turn everyone into beauty. Not because pain is beautiful, but because my redemption is. If your heart is heavy again, don't hold back. Let them fall, knowing you aren't alone in the release. I will gather them, and I will flood your life with a joy no sorrow can erase. There was a moment when the weight felt unbearable and your spirit was tempted to let go completely. The thought passed through, soft but sharp, that maybe releasing hope would bring relief. You didn't shout it, but your heart said, I don't know how much longer I can do this. I heard it. I felt it. I stood close when your resolve wavered. Before you collapsed under that weight, I stepped in and interrupted the breaking point. That pause, that sudden shift, that unexplainable second where you changed your mind, that was me. It wasn't random strength returning. It was my strength entering. I held your spirit steady when everything inside was ready to run. You think you kept yourself together, but I covered you so your faith wouldn't snap. I steadied your steps when they wanted to flee. I whispered to your heart even when your ears were too tired, because what you didn't see was how close you were to breakthrough. Right when your spirit felt like shutting down, the next layer of my plan was forming, and the enemy knew it. That's why the pressure intensified, why doubts got louder, why quitting looked easier. Pressure often peaks before change breaks through. I always come closer when my child nears the edge. I didn't let you go numb. Your story isn't done. I didn't let you disconnect. Your impact is still needed. When you couldn't feel passion, I lit a deeper flame. Not based on feeling, but rooted in truth. You almost let the fire die, but I cupped my hands around it and kept it alive in the cold. Your calling still stands. Your anointing remains. Your identity is intact. The temptation to walk away didn't disqualify you. It showed that you've been loving even while hurting. You did not fail. You endured. I'm proud of you. No one else saw the cost of holding on. No one else knew how easy it would have been to step back quietly. But you stayed. You pressed through. I honor that choice. I will pour back into you. I will refill what ran dry. I will strengthen what feels worn. I never asked you to carry this alone. I never demanded fearlessness. I asked you to trust me when fear knocked, and you did. That matters. The moment you turned back instead of retreating became a doorway for me to move. I am building on that pivot. I'm starting something new right where you thought it ended. Don't call today your weakest. Call it the day I took over what was too much. Don't be ashamed of the pause. That's where I planted new endurance. What felt like an ending is the beginning of restoration. From here on, you won't walk in your own strength. I will be your momentum and your steady hand when even standing feels hard. You didn't walk away, and because of that, everything is shifting. I've seen the heaviness on your chest, burdens bigger than your shoulders, responsibilities, unanswered questions, emotional pressure, and expectations piling up. You didn't complain, but I noticed your steps slow and your mornings feel heavy, not from lack of sleep, but from holding it all together. I did not ignore this. I allowed you to feel the strain, not to punish you, but to interrupt the pattern. You've gotten so used to surviving that you started to believe endurance equals isolation. You convinced yourself that asking for help is weakness and handing over control is defeat. Hear me, the load you've been dragging was never yours to pull alone. I didn't call you to be your own savior. I didn't design your heart to carry constant weight without my presence woven through every part. That moment you reached the end wasn't abandonment, it was intervention. It was me saying, enough, let me lift what is breaking you. I am not repelled by your limits. I wait at the edges of your capacity, ready to carry what you cannot. I don't need proof of your strength. I want to be strong for you. You were made for connection, not just with people, but with me. While the world praised your ability to manage everything, I've been inviting you into something better, surrender. Not defeat, not collapse, but release, a holy handing over of what has quietly drained you. You never had to pretend you had it all under control with me. I already knew the breaking point, and I prepared healing before the pain showed. When you couldn't fake calm anymore, that moment was holy. That's when your soul opened wide enough for my arms to step in. I don't ignore cracks, I fill them. I don't despise tears, I hold them. I never walk away when the weight is heavy. That's when I come closest. I know it's hard for you to lay things down. You've been the anchor, the one who manages in silence. But hear me. What if your greatest strength is trusting me with what you cannot fix? What if healing begins not when you figure it out, but when you hand me the pieces, no matter how scattered? You weren't meant to be overwhelmed by life. You were meant to walk with me, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, not behind, not ahead, but together. Standing at this place of exhaustion, I offer more than solutions. I offer myself. I will be your calm. I will be the breath in your fatigue. I will lift the pressure, not for a moment, but for good. As you keep releasing what's too much, you were never failing. You were carrying alone what was meant for us to carry together. Now that you've felt that weight, you're ready to step into the freedom I've held for you. Let go, not because you're quitting, but because I'm here. Hands open, ready to carry what you were never made to bear. You've asked why things aren't moving. Why doors that looked open closed, why what felt near drifted far. You measured your pace by timelines others seem to follow easily. Listen, the pause in your life is not stagnation, it is structure. I've been arranging what you haven't even thought to pray yet, weaving pieces across time and places, some tied to your past, some to your future, to align with the moment you step into what you're made for. This isn't postponement, it's preparation. When something takes time, it's not always because it's hard. Sometimes it's because it's holy. What I'm building in you, around you, and through you is holy. I'm intentional with details, connections, and movements that lead you forward. Some pieces needed delay so they wouldn't harm you. Others had to mature before they could join your journey. You don't see the whole board, but I do. I won't let you step into something out of sync. If I gave it early, it would collapse under weight it couldn't hold. I'm setting things in motion, not just for your benefit, but for your legacy, what will outlast you. It's bigger than a moment. It's about eternal impact. So I've orchestrated relationships, conversations, and redirections, moving parts across your life into alignment. You've been tempted to call my quiet inaction. But while you waited, I prepared the room. While you prayed, I laid foundations. While you cried out, I drew blueprints your eyes can't yet see. You see a calendar, I see coordinates. You feel hours pass, I feel atmospheres shift. Sometimes the atmosphere has to change before the start. I'm making sure what's waiting doesn't just arrive, it thrives. That includes people who needed healing before walking beside you, timing where hearts are ready for what you carry, and changes in you so blessing won't break you. Delay with me is never denial, it's care. I'm not after quick fixes that fade. I'm after order that stands. That means some things had to fall apart. Some prayers had to be refined. Some answers postponed for your protection. But it's all coming together. The invisible design is nearing completion. When it's time, you'll step into a space that fits so well, you'll know I was thinking of you all along. You'll look back on what you called delay and see it as strategy that preserved your purpose. The moments you think you missed were actually my hand guiding you to something greater. Don't resent the waiting. Don't assume silence means nothing is moving. Trust me. I never stopped working. I made sure the work was done right. You spoke with sincerity. You asked through tears. You searched with what little strength you had. Your heart was honest, yet clarity felt late. You wondered if I was listening, if your voice reached heaven. I heard you the first time, before the words formed. I knew the ache behind them. I wasn't silent because I didn't care. I waited because answers without stillness often confuse rather than clarify. I didn't hold back revelation out of reluctance. I waited for the noise to ease, for the chaos to loosen its grip, for your spirit to settle into the place where it no longer tries to earn peace, but receives it. What I want to pour into you was never meant to compete with hurry or push through racing thoughts. My voice carries truth, but truth lands best in a surrendered space. That's why I drew you into quiet, removed certain distractions, and allowed some plans to stall. Not to frustrate you, but to clear the air. I saw how hard you tried to figure it all out, how your thoughts looped around puzzles that were never yours. I knew if I spoke then, my words would tangle in the noise. So I waited, not far off but near, while you reached the end of your own wisdom. Not so you'd fall apart, but so you'd make room. Room I needed to fill. Space where my words echo instead of getting drowned. Stillness isn't just something you do, it's a posture, where revelation flows without resistance. When you really listen, you'll find I'm not hard to hear. I've been whispering between your worries, nudging through gentle conviction, guiding with quiet impressions. Stillness tunes your heart to catch every word I speak. You asked for direction, I'm giving it. You asked for clarity, I'm releasing it. Now I need your focus, not a few spare seconds between distractions, but your full presence. What I'm revealing asks for your undivided heart. I will speak through unusual peace, through words of scripture that seem to glow, through dreams that stir your spirit, through conversations you didn't plan. But you won't notice if your soul isn't still enough to see it. That's why I've slowed you. That's why I disrupted your schedule. That's why some things didn't work yet. I'm not ignoring your questions. I'm preparing you to receive answers that transform, not just inform. When I speak, it changes things. It doesn't only inform, it heals. I don't release that lightly. I release it into ready hearts. That is where you are now. Stay in the stillness with me, and I will pour out understanding like rain, washing away confusion, watering wisdom, and awakening clarity you didn't know you could carry. I won't just answer one prayer. I will change how you hear me. You begged me to intervene, to stop the pain, quiet the chaos, and protect you from fallout you didn't cause. You asked why I didn't act sooner. Why I allowed heartbreak, betrayal, loss, or closed doors when I could have prevented them. In raw grief, you felt alone among ashes. Hear me. I never abandoned you in the fire. I stood in it with you. I didn't always stop the flames, but I made sure they would not consume you. There are lessons only heat can bring, truths that don't grow in ease but are forged under pressure. I could have removed every obstacle in a moment, but there were depths in you that needed to rise. Resilience, discernment, courage, and strength not borrowed from emotions, but born from trust. I knew what was ahead, what you would carry, and what needed to be strengthened to walk with authority. You see pain, I see preparation. You see disappointment, I see a door into something deeper. When you cried, "Why didn't you stop this?" I was already turning harm into soil for something unshakable. The fire showed you who truly walked with you and stripped away illusions. It revealed what needed healing and what needed release. I didn't leave, I led you through. Even when you couldn't tell, I never took my eyes off you. My hand didn't loosen, my purpose didn't shift. I didn't cause the pain, but I permitted the process because I saw what it would unlock. I let some things fall apart, not to hurt you, but to clear space for what I've long wanted to build. You don't become fireproof by standing outside the flame. You become unshakable by surviving, not in your own strength, but in mine. You would not know how deep my protection goes if storms never pressed in. You would not discover the stillness of my voice if life stayed predictable. In the middle of the trial, you found me, not as you expected, but as peace that made no sense, comfort that came in small waves, and strength that carried you when you wanted to give up. I used hardship to teach you dependence, not because I need control, but because I want your heart secure. What was meant to break you has planted you deeper. What you thought would end you has steadied you. I'm not done. Refining wasn't for pain's sake, it was for elevation. You're coming out with more than scars. You're coming out with clarity, focus, and authority to help others through what you survived. That's why I didn't stop it. Not because I loved you less, but because I loved you too much to leave you unchanged. You asked for strength, purpose, and legacy. I answered through the very things that felt unfair. Now, as you leave the fire behind, know this. What's ahead won't look like what burned. I am making beauty from ashes, not in spite of pain, but because I never wasted. You've been surrounded by noise, not only sounds, but opinions, predictions, assumptions, and expectations that pull at your attention. Each day brings 1,000 voices competing for space. Pressure says go faster. Fear says brace for the worst. People with their own plans try to shape your next move. Beneath it all, I've spoken softly, not to compete with the volume, but to draw you away from it. My voice doesn't shout because I don't force your choices. I invite, guide, and nudge you out of confusion into clarity. That clarity begins when you filter out what never came from me. I've been trying to reach you through stillness, through the gentle pull in your heart that says, this path isn't right, through restlessness you've tried to ignore, through discomfort with things that once felt familiar. That's me, realigning you from the inside. Not through pressure, but through presence. Not through fear, but through peace that may not make sense at first. The world says hurry, I say listen. I know pausing takes courage when everyone else runs ahead, but it's vital. I'm giving instructions that protect your future, guide your steps, and save you from avoidable pain. I'm giving wisdom that won't just make sense today, it will make sense years from now. You asked me to lead, and I am. But you can't hear strategy from heaven while drowning in chaos made by people. There is a difference between being busy and being aligned. I did not call you to frantic activity. I called you to intentional steps with me. You don't need to sprint ahead of me or fix everything on your own. Walk with me. Slow your pace, not because you lack drive, but because I want to guide you with accuracy. Step back from the noise, even if it means some people won't understand for a while. Missing what isn't meant for you isn't loss, it's protection. Every day I'm giving you fresh direction, but the world's volume often drowns it out. It can sound like an idea that won't leave, a nudge that something's off, a quiet urge to take another route, message someone, or pause for 5 minutes. That isn't random or overthinking, that's me. I've been setting signs in your path, and you'll notice them as you tune your ear to my steady voice instead of the temporary noise. My words won't always feel dramatic, but they will always be true. The more you respond to gentle prompts, the clearer things will become. I'm drawing you beyond impulse and into wisdom that rises above emotion. You can hear me. I simply want you to make room for what's real. Distractions shout, but they never bring peace. I do. So turn down what starves your faith and step away from what dulls your sensitivity to my guidance. I'm not hiding. I'm waiting for the noise to settle so you can hear what I've been saying. My direction isn't far off. It's already here. When you listen again, you'll realize I've been speaking the whole time. Along the way, I set aside something sacred for you. A portion of purpose, a layer of insight, a deep well of strength never meant for the crowd. It wasn't for display or quick consumption. I tucked it away like treasure, not to keep it from you, but to reserve it for intimacy. Some gifts are too precious to hand out casually. What I've stored is custom made for your journey. It doesn't fit anyone else. You sense more is near, but the full picture hasn't come into view. It's not that you're unprepared, it's that your attention has been divided, and what I'm about to reveal needs your full devotion. This isn't striving, it's positioning. Bring your gaze back to where your spirit first woke up. Somewhere along the way, your focus drifted. Not from rebellion, but from overwhelm, quick fixes, and busy days that left little space for stillness. Your heart still beats for me, but your attention has been scattered. I'm not angry or disappointed. I'm calling you back. I'm not after your performance. I want your presence. The secret isn't behind impossible locks. It's just behind the veil of distraction. I've been longing for your undivided attention, not to demand more, but to give more. The clarity you've asked for is in my hands. The insight you prayed for is already prepared. Lean in again, not only in crisis, but deeply and consistently. I've never lost sight of you. Now I'm asking for your steady gaze. The one that doesn't wander when things get tough. The one that returns after mistakes. The gaze that says, Jesus, nothing matters more than you. When your eyes rest on me, distractions loosen their grip. When your soul anchors in my voice, the world's confusion fades. In that stillness, I can uncover what I reserved for this time. I want to show you what's been growing under the surface, reveal the beauty of the work I've done while you waited, and unveil the layers of destiny that formed in quiet. But you need to come close. Care more about hearing me than keeping up with what culture calls urgent. Choose me again, not from guilt, but from hunger. That tug inside hasn't left. It's me calling you nearer. Not for routine, but for revelation. I've been giving you pieces of the map. Now I'm ready to open a path you never expected. Lined with grace, filled with purpose, soaked in peace. The first step is simple. Return to focus. Return to stillness. Return to the place where my whisper grows louder than the world's volume. What's next is too important to miss. And I've been waiting for you to turn and say, I'm ready. Now that you are, I am too. You've been tallying your flaws and calling them a verdict, deciding where you don't measure up, where you failed, where the old vision seems out of reach. You wondered if you still carry anything of value. While you studied the cracks, I kept looking at the gold I placed in you before you took your first breath. I know who you are beyond the broken parts. I see strength waiting to be revealed, faith growing in quiet, love learning to speak through healed wounds, gifts you haven't unwrapped because doubt kept you distracted. I haven't rushed you. I've honored your process. I don't expect perfection. I walk beside you as you grow, watering small seeds until they become what I promised. I don't define you by weak moments. I define you by what I planted before the pressure came. Stop naming yourself by your limits. You're not a regret or a risk. I made you with care and intention, not simply to exist, but to rise. You focus on what went wrong. I see what can go right. You see dust. I see the masterpiece under it. You've labeled yourself by old versions, but I know who you're becoming. I've waited because I refuse to abandon what I crafted in love. I'm not counting how long it's taken or angry at hesitation. proud that you're still here, still seeking, still trying. That matters more than you know. I want you to see yourself through my eyes. Not guilt, not comparison, not failure, but grace, promise, and identity that doesn't shift with emotion. You are more than what pain shaped. You are more than choices you wish you could change. Even in uncertainty, you carry divine potential. I'm awakening it now, the very thing I've been nurturing beneath the surface. You are not behind or forgotten. You're right on time for what I've planned. Delays didn't come to punish you, they preserved your purpose. I slowed the pace to help you remember who you are and who I am. You don't have to prove anything. I knew the full story when I called you. I accounted for every twist and still said yes to your life, placed power in your voice and set your path apart. As you dare to believe again, I'm breathing fresh strength into what's been dormant. Your future isn't built on failure. It's anchored in what I deposited in you, and that has never been canceled. You are still chosen, still anointed, still my vessel. I didn't wait because you were unworthy, but because what's inside you is too valuable to rush. There were days when belief felt heavy. Not because you stopped loving me, but because life kept pressing. One unanswered prayer turned into quiet. One closed door turned into many. Your hope dimmed under the weight of what you couldn't explain. You didn't shout your frustration, but I heard your inner cry. You didn't abandon me, but you loosened your grip on what once felt certain. In those hidden moments, when you wondered if I was listening, I drew near. Your questions didn't push me away. I don't fear your doubts. I enter your struggle. I step into the center of confusion, not to judge, but to carry you. When you were unsure, I wrapped your fragile hope. I wasn't offended by your questions. I was moved by the pain underneath them. I tended the parts of your heart you didn't know how to guard. Every time you whispered, "I don't know anymore," I answered, "I still do." I know who you are, what I spoke, and how this ends, even when the middle feels dark. That's why I stayed, even when you couldn't feel me, even when you disliked my timing, even when you thought about lowering your expectations to avoid disappointment. I saw it all and didn't leave. I remained when your prayers were short, when the verses felt distant, when the songs lost warmth. My love doesn't depend on flawless devotion. It holds when your heart is unraveling. I pursue you in the tension. I call you deeper when you think you've gone too far. I don't wait for perfect belief. I respond to the faintest flicker. I'm breathing on that spark now. I'm reviving it. I'm not asking you to pretend or push away hard questions. Bring them to me. Let me meet you with presence, not cold answers. I'm not asking you to be strong. I'm asking you to be honest. Faith isn't always tidy words. Sometimes it's simply not letting go. You held on, even if by a thread. I'm holding that thread, strengthening and restoring it. You will believe again, not like before, but deeper. Not because someone told you to, but because you met me in the place you thought I wouldn't show up. I'm not disappointed in your struggle. I'm proud you didn't let it silence you. You kept returning, even if slowly. That moves me, your heart that refuses to close. I've come for that remnant of trust, and it's enough to begin again. You felt a pull toward something deeper, an invitation that appears when you're still. Each time you approach it, hesitation rises, not because you don't want it, but because you're healing. There's a door in your heart you've guarded, not from rebellion, but from pain. You wonder if you're strong enough to open it, if letting me in will bring disappointment or exposure. I see your fear as proof this is the place I most want to meet you. This threshold isn't your end. It's the start of something holy. I won't force you through or kick down walls. I'm knocking gently and consistently because I know what waits on the other side. You've asked for more direction, freedom, and clarity. This is where it begins. Behind that door is the healing you keep praying for, the identity you've only glimpsed, the kind of connection that doesn't depend on feelings, but on rooted truth. I honor your pace, but I need you to know I'm here. I haven't left the entrance or given up because yesterday you weren't ready. I'm still knocking, waiting for the moment you decide that trust is worth the risk. You've been living just outside of what I prepared. I want to bring you in, not just for blessing, but for restoration. You don't need every answer to open. You don't need full certainty. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. You need to trust I'll be there when you step. I've already prepared the room. You won't walk into judgment. You'll walk into joy. Not shame, but safety. What you're guarding wasn't meant to stay hidden. It was meant to be surrendered so I could make it beautiful. The hurt you've held close, I want to turn it into healing. That part of your past you avoid, I want to redeem it with purpose. That area where you feel powerless, I want to step in with authority and restore the confidence you forgot. Let me in, not just into the tidy spaces, but into the mess that still scares you. I'm not shocked by the clutter, scars, or unfinished parts. I see it all and keep knocking because I love you too much to let you live behind self-protection. What's next can't be unlocked from the outside. You hold the key. When you turn it, I will rush in with grace and power that lifts instead of crushes. The next chapter begins with surrender, not strain. I'm ready to walk with you through what you've avoided and lead you into the fullness you've only imagined. Will you open the door? It looked like nothing was happening, a delay, maybe neglect. But what unfolded in the stillness was sacred. When the noise quieted and familiar comfort faded, you assumed I withdrew. I was closer than ever, not saying much, not showing much, simply present. Watching what your heart would do when my voice was quiet. It wasn't abandonment, it was invitation into deeper faith that isn't carried by feelings or visibility, but by trust that survives the unseen. You stood on holy ground, not a location but a posture. Quiet surrender, waiting without demands, believing without signs. Heaven watched with reverence, because it's rare to stay faithful when everything seems still. And you did. You didn't run or fill the silence with compromise. You didn't chase a louder substitute. You stayed. In staying, you passed through a place many avoid. The test of whether I'm enough when all else is quiet. It's easy to say you trust me when answers are quick and breakthroughs arrive on schedule. Real intimacy forms in the quiet, when nothing shifts, when your soul feels bare, when all you hold is who I am. In the silence I watched, not to grade you, but to see what I could entrust to you next. You showed me your love isn't built on rewards. Your commitment didn't vanish with comfort. That matters to me. Others walk away when miracles pause. Many chase signs and forget the source. You stayed when it felt empty. The silence wasn't punishment. It was a mirror revealing what your faith rests on, and what I saw was gold. Quiet, steady, refined. I let the noise fade, not to frustrate you, but to awaken something higher. I stepped back in words so you would lean in with heart. That quiet attention was worship and honor, the connection I longed for. Not just moments of desperation, but steady awareness even when I seem hidden. You don't know what I planted while you waited. Patience, discernment, endurance. Now that the silence has done its work, I'm about to speak with direction and move with abundance. I needed to see if you would remain when I whispered nothing. Now I can trust you with more. The ground you crossed wasn't empty. It was a doorway into deeper intimacy. Because you stood where few stand, I can show you what few see. You've tried to hold everything together, relationships, responsibilities, fragile emotions behind a brave face. You felt pressure to fix what you were never meant to carry alone. I've watched you overextend, not from pride but love. I know the ache of wanting to make life right for others while feeling like you're falling apart. Hear me. You are not the repairer. I am. The weight on your back wasn't designed for you. You've been using temporary glue, hoping that doing more and gripping tighter would make you whole. Wholeness doesn't come from effort. It flows from surrender. You don't need to be the architect of your healing. I'm the craftsman who turns shattered pieces into beauty. Nothing is too far gone with me. I don't cringe at mess. I move toward it. Where you see disorder, I see opportunity. Where you see weakness, I see the starting line for grace. You've carried expectations you didn't choose, outcomes you can't control. Pain you haven't processed. It left you tired and anxious, feeling like nothing you do is enough. I am enough. My grace covers pressure as well as sin. My strength meets private exhaustion, not just public battles. Let me hold what trembles in your hands. You don't have to pretend you're fine when you're barely getting through. I see through the performance and the polite smile. I love you in the unpolished places. I didn't choose you for perfection. I chose you because I stay close to the honest. Your brokenness doesn't disqualify you. It positions you to receive real healing. Start with release. Loosen your grip on what you were never meant to control. Lay down timelines, demands, and the need to prove you're okay. I'm not asking you to be strong. Be truthful. Invite me into what you hide, even from yourself. Let me unravel the lie that you're too much, too wounded, too late. You are mine, and I won't let you walk around fractured while pretending to be whole. I want to rebuild you from within, not with quick fixes but lasting change. I will trade fear for security, heaviness for peace, and pressure for a lightness that comes from trusting me. The healing you want isn't after more effort. It's here in my hands, offered freely. I'm not looking for your plan or performance, just your yes. When you stop trying to fix everything, I can restore what you thought was beyond repair. Walk with me, don't run ahead. You don't have to fix everything on your own. Slow down, not because you're lazy, but because I want to give you precision. Step back from the noise, even if it means some people won't get it for a moment. Missing out on what isn't meant for you is not a loss, it's protection. Every day I'm offering fresh direction, but the world is loud. It can drown out my gentle ideas, the nudge that won't leave, the sense that something's off, the whisper to take another route. To call that person, to sit still for 5 minutes. That's not random or overthinking, that's me. I've been putting signs in your path, but you'll notice them when you start listening for the steady rhythm of my voice above temporary noise. When I speak, it won't always be dramatic, but it will be true. And the more you respond to my gentle prompts, the clearer everything will get. I'm taking you deeper than instinct. I'm leading you with wisdom that rises above emotion. You can hear me. You just need to make room for what's real. Distractions will shout, but they can't bring peace. I do. So tune in. Turn down what weakens your faith. Move away from anything that dulls your sensitivity to my guidance. I'm not hiding. I'm waiting for the noise to settle so you can hear what I've been saying all along. My direction isn't on the way. It's here. The moment you listen again, you'll realize I've been speaking the whole time. Along this journey, I've kept something sacred for you. A portion of purpose, a layer of insight, a well of strength that wasn't meant for the crowd. It isn't for display or shallow consumption. I didn't leave it lying in the open. I tucked it like treasure, not to withhold it, but to make sure it's found in closeness with me. Some of the most powerful things I want to give you are too precious to hand out casually. What I've stored is custom made for your path. It doesn't fit anyone else. You can feel more is near, and you haven't seen it all yet. That's not because you're unready. It's because your attention has been divided. What I'm about to unfold takes more than a glance. It asks for your full heart. This isn't striving, it's positioning. It's aiming your gaze where your spirit first woke up. Somewhere along the way, your eyes drifted. Not from rebellion, but from weight, from quick fixes, from busy days with little room for stillness. Your heart is still mine, but your focus has been scattered. I'm not angry or disappointed. I'm calling you back, not for your performance, but for your presence. The secret I kept isn't behind a locked door. It's just past the veil of distraction. I've been longing for your full attention, not to demand more from you, but to give more to you. The clarity you want is in my hands. The insight you asked for is prepared. Lean in again, not only in crisis or for a moment, but deeply and consistently. I've never stopped watching you. I've never lost track of your progress. But I'm after your gaze now, the kind that doesn't wander when it's hard. The kind that returns after mistakes, the kind that says, Jesus, nothing matters more than you. When your eyes are on me, distractions lose their grip. When your soul is anchored in my voice, the world's confusion fades. In that sacred stillness, I can release what's been hidden for the right time. I want to show you what's under the surface. I want to reveal the beauty of what I've been building while you waited. I want to uncover parts of your destiny that have been growing in quiet, but you have to stay near. Care more about hearing me than chasing what culture says is urgent. Choose me again, not out of guilt, but out of hunger. You've always known there was more. That tug you feel is me calling you closer, not into rule-keeping, but into revelation. I've been giving you pieces of the map. Now I'm ready to show you a path you didn't see coming. A path of grace, purpose, and peace. The first step is simple. Come back into focus. Come back into stillness. Come back to the place where my whisper is louder than the world's noise. What I have next is too important to miss, and I've been waiting for you to turn and say, I'm ready. Now that you are, I am too. You've kept a list of your flaws, replaying what you think disqualifies you. You see where you fell short, where you didn't match your own expectations. In that harsh self-reflection, you've wondered if you still carry anything of value. While you watch the cracks, I watch the gold I put in you before your first breath. I know you beyond the broken places. I see strength that hasn't yet surfaced, faith growing in silence, love learning to speak through wounds, gifts you haven't unwrapped because self-doubt took your focus. I haven't rushed you. I haven't pushed you. I've waited, not because I forgot, but because I honor the process. I don't ask for perfection. I walk with you as you grow, watering small seeds with patience. I don't define you by weak moments. I define you by what I placed in you before the pressure came. Stop naming yourself by your limits. You are not a project I regret or a soul too fragile to finish. I made you with intention and design. I didn't call you just to survive. I called you to rise. You look at what went wrong. I see what can still go right. You focus on the broken. I see the masterpiece dusted by pain. You've labeled yourself by older versions of you. I know who you're becoming. I've waited because I won't give up on what I created in love. I'm not counting how long it's taken or angry at your hesitation. I'm proud that with all your questions, you're still here, still listening, still seeking, still trying. That speaks louder than you think. I've waited because I want you to see yourself through my eyes, through grace, promise, and identity that doesn't shift with your feelings. You are more than pain-shaped versions of you. You are more than choices you wish you could change. Even in uncertainty, you carry divine potential. I'm reawakening it now. I've been nurturing it quietly even when you felt far. You're not behind, late, or forgotten. You're right on time for what I'm starting. I allowed delays to protect your purpose. I slowed the pace so you could remember who you are and who I am. You don't have to prove anything. I knew the full story when I called you. I accounted for every twist and still said yes to your life. I put anointing in your voice. I set your path apart for something that lasts. As you dare to believe again, I'm breathing fresh strength into what's been dormant. Your future isn't built on failure. It's built on what I placed inside you, and that hasn't been canceled. You are still chosen, still anointed, still my vessel. I didn't wait because you were unworthy. I waited because what's inside you is too valuable to be rushed. There were days when belief felt heavy, not because you stopped loving me, but because life pressed hard. One unanswered prayer turned into silence, one closed door into many. The light dimmed under weight you couldn't explain. You didn't shout, but I heard the cries inside. You didn't abandon me, but you held your questions with shaking hands. In those moments you feared to admit, when you wondered if I was listening, I drew near. Your uncertainty didn't scare me away. I have never been afraid of your questions. I don't flinch at your doubt. I don't run from your struggle. I step into it. I come to the center of your confusion, not to condemn, but to carry you through. When you weren't sure I was working, I held your fragile hope. I wasn't offended by your doubts. I was moved by the pain under them. I cared for pieces of your heart you didn't know how to shield. Every time you whispered, "I don't know anymore," I answered, "But I do. I know who you are. I know what I spoke. I know the ending, even when the middle gets dark." That's why I stayed close when you couldn't feel me, when you questioned my timing, when you considered lowering your expectations to avoid pain. I saw it all. I understood, and I remained. I stayed when your prayers were short and your hope felt distant. I stayed when you scrolled past words you once clung to. I stayed when worship felt far. My love isn't earned by flawless devotion. I love you when your heart unravels. I pursue you in the tension. I call you deeper when you think you're too far gone. I don't wait for perfect belief. I respond to the faintest longing. I'm breathing on that flicker now. I'm reviving it. I'm not asking you to perform or pretend. Bring me your questions. Let me meet you there. Not with cold answers, but with warm presence. I'm not asking you to fake strength. I want you to see how strong I am when you're weak. Faith isn't having all the right words. Sometimes faith is simply not letting go when your fingers are tired. You've held on by a thread. I'm holding that thread now, strengthening, rebuilding, restoring. You will believe again, not like before, but deeper. Not because someone told you to, but because you met me in the very place you thought I wouldn't be. I'm not disappointed in your struggle. I'm proud you didn't close your heart. You kept searching, even slower. You kept coming back, even when it felt different. That moves me. I've come for that honest heart. The remnant of trust you still have is enough for me to begin again. You felt a pull toward something deeper, quiet, persistent, not pressure, but possibility. Every time you neared it, hesitation rose. Not because you don't want it, but because you're healing. You guard a door in your heart, unsure what happens if it swings open. You wonder if you're strong enough, ready enough, or if letting me in will bring exposure or pain. I don't see your fear as failure. I see the place I most want to meet you. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. That threshold isn't your end, it's a beginning. I won't force you through. I'm not pounding on the walls. I'm knocking, gentle and consistent, because I know what's waiting on the other side. You've asked for more: direction, freedom, clarity. And this is where it starts. Behind that door is healing you keep praying for, identity you've only touched, the connection with me that doesn't rise and fall with feelings but rests on truth. I honor your pace. I haven't left the entrance or given up because you weren't ready yesterday. I'm still here, still knocking, still waiting for the moment you decide that trust is worth the risk. You've been living just outside something I prepared specifically for you. I want to bring you in, not only for blessing, but for restoration. You don't need all the answers to turn the key. You don't need full certainty about the other side. You only need to trust that I'll be there when you step. I've already been in the room, preparing what you need. You won't walk into judgment, you'll walk into joy. You won't be met with shame, you'll be met with safety. What you've hidden wasn't meant to stay hidden, it was meant to be surrendered so I could make it beautiful. The hurt you hold close, I want to heal it. The past you avoid, I want to redeem it. The place you feel powerless, I want to restore authority and confidence you forgot. Let me in, not just into tidy spaces, but into the mess that scares you. I'm not overwhelmed by what's behind your door, the clutter, scars, and unfinished pieces. I see it all, and still I knock. I love you too much to let you live behind walls of self-protection. What's next can't be unlocked from the outside. You hold the key. When you turn it, I will rush in with grace, tenderness, and power that doesn't crush, but lifts. The next chapter begins with surrender, not striving. I'm ready to walk with you through everything you've avoided and lead you into the fullness you've only imagined. Will you open the door? You thought nothing was happening. It felt like delay or oversight, but what unfolded was sacred. The noise faded, movement slowed, familiar comfort slipped away. In that stillness, you assumed I was distant. I was closer than ever. I didn't say much. I watched what your heart would do when my voice went quiet. It wasn't abandonment, it was invitation into deeper faith that survives the unseen. You stood in a holy place, not a location, but a posture. Quiet surrender, waiting without demands, believing without signs. Heaven watched with honor because it's rare to find a heart that stays when the sky seems still. You didn't run. You didn't fill the silence with compromise. You didn't go hunting for a louder substitute. You stayed, and in staying, you passed through what many avoid. It's easy to trust when answers are fast. Real intimacy is forged when nothing moves, when your soul feels bare and all you hold is who I am. I wasn't grading you. I was seeing what could be entrusted to you next. You showed me your love isn't based on reward. Your commitment didn't fade when comfort did. That matters. The silence wasn't punishment, it was a mirror. What I saw in you was gold, quiet and steady. I let the noise die down to awaken something higher. I slowed the rush so you could find the root. I stepped back with words so you could lean forward with heart. That quiet attention was worship, it was honor. It was the connection I longed for. Not only desperate visits, but constant attention even when I don't feel obvious. You don't know what I have planted while you waited. Patience took root. Discernment deepened. Endurance grew strong. Now that the silence has served its purpose, I will speak with direction and move with abundance. I needed to see if you would remain when I whispered nothing. Now that I have, I can trust you with more. The ground you walked wasn't empty. It was a doorway to deeper intimacy. Because you stood where few do, I will show you what few see. You've tried to hold everything together. Relationships, responsibilities, fragile emotions, hidden behind a brave face. You tried to fix problems that were never yours to carry alone. I've seen you overextend, not from pride, but because you care. I know the ache of wanting to make things right for others while you feel like you're breaking inside. Hear me, you were never called to be the repairer. I am. The weight you're trying to manage wasn't designed for your shoulders. You've been gluing life together with temporary fixes, do more, hold tighter, work harder, hoping wholeness follows. Wholeness doesn't come from striving. It comes from surrender. You don't have to architect your own healing. I'm the craftsman who takes shattered pieces and makes beauty from what others would throw away. Nothing is too far gone in my hands. No part of you is beyond restoration. I don't cringe at the mess, I move toward it. Where you see disorder, I see a starting point for grace. Where you see weakness, I see the beginning of strength. You've been overwhelmed carrying expectations you didn't choose, outcomes you can't control, and pain you haven't processed. It's left you weary and anxious, always feeling behind. But I am enough. My grace isn't only for sin, it's for pressure. My strength isn't only for public battles, it's for private exhaustion. I want to hold what's falling apart in your hands. I want to steady the parts of you that tremble under quiet disappointment. You don't need to pretend you're okay when you're barely making it. I see through the performance, through the protective smile, and I love you there, in the unguarded, unpolished space. I didn't choose you for perfection. I delight to be close to those who admit they need me. You're not disqualified by brokenness. You're positioned to receive healing. Start with release. Loosen your grip on what you were never meant to control. Let go of timelines, demands, and the pressure to prove you're fine. I'm not asking you to be strong today. I'm asking you to be honest. Let me in, even to the places you hide from yourself. Let me pull out the lies. Too much, too wounded, too late. You are none of those to me. You are mine. I won't let you carry a fractured soul and call it whole. I want to rebuild from the inside out. Not with quick fixes, but with lasting change. I will trade fear for security, heaviness for peace, pressure for trust. The healing you want isn't on the other side of more effort. It's in my hands now. All I need is your yes. Not a plan or performance, just yes. When you stop trying to fix everything, I can restore what you thought was beyond repair. You've put pressure on yourself that I never gave you. Somewhere you believed that to be used by me or loved by me, you had to reach flawless behavior or unshakable faith. That your mistakes made you a liability, that until you figured everything out, you couldn't be qualified for what I put in you. I never asked you for every answer. I never demanded spotless performance. I've always wanted your heart, surrendered, open, willing. I know every weakness and hidden struggle, and none of it scares me. It doesn't cancel your assignment or keep me far. I don't call perfect people. I call surrendered ones. My perfection doesn't require yours. Just space. I've watched you carry not only burdens, but the fear of doing it wrong. You tried so hard not to misstep that you started fearing every move, as if one mistake would ruin everything. That's not how I lead. I don't guide with fear. I lead with grace and quiet assurance that if you misstep, I will redirect without condemning you. My strength is complete in the places you're still learning. Those are the places I long to inhabit, not to expose you, but to empower you. I don't need a polished version of you. I want the real you. The one who's unsure but says yes anyway, who shows up in faith while feeling weak, who leans on me because there's no other way. You've tried to live up to standards that wear you out. Your intentions are good, but they drain your soul. I never meant for you to earn your way into usefulness. You were made to walk with me, not sprint from anxiety. Every great story I've told has imperfect people, those who doubted, failed, or ran, but also those who returned. Let me fill their lack, stopped performing, and started trusting. Don't pretend with me. I already see what's real. You don't have to hide your weariness or dress up disappointment. Bring me the truth, I can work with that. Bring me the mess, I'm not afraid of it. I will shape it into glory, not because it looks clean, but because it's surrendered. That's what I'm after. Not a perfect performance, but a yielded heart. That's where miracles begin. I want to pour myself into the cracks you hide. I want the world to see beauty rise from overlooked places. When they do, they won't praise perfection. They'll see my power moving through someone flawed. That's how I've always worked, not through those who think they don't need me, but through those who know they can't move without me. So lay down the image you think you must maintain. Let me be perfection in your imperfection. Let me shine through what you thought disqualified you. I never asked you to be enough. I came to be more than enough through you. You didn't understand why that connection ended. It felt sudden and confusing. You replayed conversations, second-guessed yourself, wondered what you missed. You thought maybe it was your fault, but I saw what you couldn't. While you were drawn to potential, I guarded your future. I know what's ahead. I know who needs to walk with you and who would slow your pace, cloud your discernment, or shift your focus. You asked me to lead and shape your destiny. That meant removing relationships that would blur your identity or dilute your voice. Not because they were all bad, some were simply temporary. Their season served a purpose. If they stayed longer, confusion would grow where clarity belongs. I didn't remove them to hurt you. I made room. Not all absence is abandonment. Some are my edits to prepare alignment. You didn't fail or get forgotten. You were rerouted. I care too much about your calling to let anyone take a place in your heart who doesn't belong in the next stage. You may still feel the ache, but one day you'll see it clearly. That was my mercy. I kept you from weights you weren't meant to carry. You loved deeply and gave much. Love doesn't always mean a permanent place. Some people come to teach, stretch, grow, and then their purpose ends. That doesn't make them bad. It means I'm intentional. You've asked for wisdom, peace, and discernment. Those flourish in a protected atmosphere. So I've been clearing your path, not with cruelty, but with precision. I've been careful with your heart, even when it felt like it was breaking. Some connections would have drained what I'm about to pour into you. You're at a pivotal moment. Distractions must fall so destiny can be embraced. For that, I had to step in. You didn't lose someone, you gained direction. You weren't set back, you were realigned. You may not have all the closure you want. Some goodbyes come without explanation. Trust me, not every chapter ends with clarity. Sometimes I seal the door so you won't try to reopen it. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. A sealed door isn't rejection, it's a sign that what's coming needs space. I'm preparing new relationships, built on honor, purpose, and spiritual depth. I'm bringing people who won't compete with your calling, but encourage it. They won't love a version of you they prefer. They'll love the one I've called forth. If you've been mourning what left, know this: it wasn't meant to stay. If you've been wrestling with silence, I've been speaking through it. If loneliness feels sharp, it's not a void, it's transition. I don't just remove, I send the right ones. But first, I show you that I care more about your future than your short-term comfort. I love you enough to say no when your heart is ready to say yes. You will thank me for what didn't stay, because what's coming is worth what you released. I've watched you hold on to what already ended, not because you're blind, but because you're loyal. You saw beauty. You believed. You poured all of you into that place. Even when signs pointed to an ending, you tried to hold the door a little longer. I honor your tenderness. I know it wasn't easy to loosen your grip on what once brought joy and meaning. Hear me. I've called it finished. Holding what expired is blocking what's next. I don't take without purpose. If I close a door, I'm not robbing you. I'm protecting and positioning you for the next thing I've already set in motion. You stood in a hallway tugging at a sealed door, asking why it won't open. I'm behind you, whispering, turn around, I'm doing something new. You can't build tomorrow on yesterday's foundation. What served you is complete. The grace lifted. Clinging to it only prolongs your growth. I'm not asking you to erase memories or deny what you felt. I'm asking you to release the outcome you imagined. I'm writing a better story than the one you're trying to rewrite. You've wept at the door, begged for understanding, asked me to revive what I've laid to rest. What you call an ending, I call redirection. I closed it because I love you too much to keep you in what no longer fits who you're becoming. There's a new place for you, wide enough for growth, deep enough for passion, safe enough for healing. It needs both hands to receive, and one of yours is still reaching back. I know letting go feels risky and brings grief, but what's ahead isn't random. I designed it. You don't have to understand why I closed the door, trust that it was needed. Believe that I never shut one without opening another. The season ahead won't look like what you lost, and that's the point. I'm expanding and elevating you, drawing you into places you wouldn't have stepped without my interruption. Breathe. It's okay to mourn, but don't stop moving. Don't camp at the door I closed. I've already moved. Turn your heart forward. What I have won't slip in through the back door of the broken. It will meet you where you walk by faith. The new thing won't need begging or force. It will flow. It will fit. It will flourish. Make room. Trust me enough to let go, and I will show you why it was worth it. You've waited and wondered if anything has changed. Prayers sent into what felt like empty sky. I've heard the desperation, the weariness, the hidden longing. You've said, Lord, when? I haven't ignored you. I'm opening your eyes to something deeper, happening beneath what you can see. You expected a loud shift, a sign that everything is moving. Sometimes my biggest miracles start under the surface, in quiet, hidden places. While you scan the horizon, I'm working in the foundation, breaking hard ground, softening resistance, aligning pieces outside your view. I've already started the breakthrough. It just doesn't look like you pictured. You're measuring progress by what's visible. I'm inviting you to trust what's unfolding in the unseen. Cracks are forming in walls that looked immovable. Systems that resisted are shaking. Closed hearts are being stirred. Resources are being released. Conversations are starting in rooms you haven't entered. Answers are taking shape in silence. Because I love you, I've kept this early stage hidden, not to confuse, but to protect. If I revealed it too soon, you'd be tempted to manage it in your strength. Breakthrough isn't only about speed, it's about stability. What I'm building won't collapse because I'm crafting it with precision. It's happening now. The walls you prayed would fall are weakening. The lock you hoped would turn is turning. Healing has begun, in cells, in emotions, in relationships. You may not feel it yet, but it's real. Walk by faith, not blind optimism, but anchored trust in who I am and what I promised. You haven't missed it, and you're not late. You're exactly where I need you, close to me, attentive, steady, even when nothing looks different. These are the moments where your consistent yes pulls the unseen into sight. The ground under you is moving. What felt like permanent delay is responding to my voice. I've commanded the season to shift, and it will not resist much longer. Keep walking. Don't sit in frustration. Don't pitch a tent in the waiting room. Don't let discouragement cancel your own expectation. You're closer than you know, not just to relief, but to a change that touches every part of your life. Soon it will be visible. Cracks will open into access. Wells will flow, not by striving, but by the weight of my presence. What I started cannot be reversed. When you step into it, you'll understand why I asked you to trust me when nothing seemed to move. I was never still. I was never late. I was already breaking through. You've spent energy measuring how far you are from where you hope to be. You look ahead and feel overwhelmed by what remains unresolved. You whisper, I should be further, and you miss how far you've come. I haven't missed it. While you focus on the finish line, I've watched every step you didn't think you could take. I saw you keep going when you were misunderstood. I saw you choose integrity when no one was looking. I noticed when you turned back to me after doubt. Those moments looked small to you. In heaven, they were victories. You judge by outcomes. I mark by obedience. You think you've stood still. I see mountains climbed. I saw the nights you cried but didn't quit. I watched you walk through seasons that tried to suffocate your hope. And here you are, still standing, still seeking, still choosing me. That is growth. That is strength. That is transformation from the inside out. It's easy to feel discouraged when others seem to soar while you wait. Your pace isn't theirs. Your path isn't theirs. I'm not comparing you. I'm walking beside you step by step, in rhythm with your true capacity. You've overcome more than you realize. Old mindsets lost their hold. Fears that once paralyzed you no longer define your choices. You don't react like you used to. You don't run like you once did. You're still healing, but you are not who you were. I see the tenderness that grew in hard places, the wisdom formed through pain, the softened spirit after loss. That's what I celebrate. That's what I'm building on. You're further than you think, not because you've arrived at a visible milestone, but because you're becoming new in me. That kind of growth is quiet. It often has no applause. It happens in hidden moments where you keep saying yes, even when it costs. Let me shift your focus. Stop punishing yourself for not being there yet. You're not behind or defective. You're in progress, and that is holy. Let me define progress. Let me show you what I see. Belief still beating, a life shaped for more. A child who has endured storms that would have crushed others. Don't shrink what it took to get here. You didn't arrive by chance. You arrived through endurance and grace, by persistence, fueled by faith you didn't know you had. I've been with you in every moment. Don't let discouragement speak louder than my delight. Don't let what hasn't happened steal the joy of what has. You're not failing. You're becoming. When you look back, you'll see what I've seen all along. A journey not about a finish line, but about walking with me day by day, becoming everything I dreamed. And you are doing exactly that. You felt alone, carrying burdens with no backup, facing challenges with shaky hands. Hear me. You have never taken a single step by yourself. The road ahead isn't unprotected. I have released heavenly warriors you can't see who surround your life on assignment. They aren't symbols, they are sentinels. They stand guard day and night. They know their orders. Defend, guide, and fight for what I promised you. Their presence isn't tied to your awareness, it's tied to my covenant. You've worried whether you're strong enough for what's next, but I've already made sure you won't face it unarmed. The peace you felt when panic would have made sense, they were there. The nudge to turn, wait, or leave, they guided you. The calm intention, they brought strength. I will keep sending them before you, beside you, behind you. This next season is significant. The closer you get to promise, the more the pressure rises. But take heart. You are covered. I haven't sent you into battle without support. You are surrounded. When you pray, worship, and speak my name, they respond. They move. They align the atmosphere. You feel the shift because they're preparing the ground. You sense the tension because what they guard is worth contending for. Don't be afraid or shrink back. You are not outnumbered. Wherever I send you, I send angels with you. Not one step will be taken without heaven at your side. When you feel surrounded, know it's not by darkness. It's by my light, my authority, and my unseen army clearing the way. You didn't expect the no. The silence, the closed opportunity, the sudden end of what seemed certain hurt. You prayed over your plans. Now, in the aftermath, it feels like something went wrong. From where you stood, the door looked good. From where I sit, I saw what hid behind it. A closed door didn't come to confuse you, but to preserve what I designed for your future. Sometimes my love looks like limitation. Sometimes my protection feels like disappointment. But I don't withhold anything truly good. When I close something, it's because it can't carry you into what's next. I won't let temporary attraction pull you from eternal purpose. I'm more invested in your becoming than your comfort. I interrupted what looked right because I saw where it would lead, how it would drain your joy, steal your time, and thin your peace, how it would delay growth, bury gifts, or tie you to people not assigned to your mission. I couldn't let you go that way. Not because I don't want to bless you, but because I want to bless you rightly. My timing isn't just about opportunity, it's about alignment. You don't need any open door. You need the right one at the right time with the right support to carry the weight of what's coming. I care too much to let a detour become your direction, so I closed it to protect your heart. I let it end before you were too entangled. I saved you time, even if it doesn't feel like it now. What's been removed was never your source. It was a step, not your destination. A glimpse, not the full picture. I'm still writing. I'm still crafting the path. I'm still bringing clarity out of confusion. But first, I protected you from the wrong yes. Because every yes that isn't mine pulls you away from what truly fulfills. I know you feel a bit lost, like something slipped through your fingers. What you think you lost wouldn't have lasted. What I have doesn't have to compete with what's already left. Don't mourn the closed door too long. Don't fixate on what might have been. Don't let regret trap your heart. I'm doing something new, and soon you'll see why the chapter had to close when it did. You'll feel how much lighter you are without what you were forcing to stay open. You'll learn that closed doors aren't curses, they're a compass. I'm guiding you. Take courage, move forward, let go of what must go. The next door won't require force. It will open at the appointed time with peace that confirms it's me. When it does, you won't walk in guessing. You'll walk in knowing, this is what I waited for. And you'll finally understand why the other had to shut. You've noticed subtle pressure lately, small interruptions with heavy undertones, mental clutter, sudden weariness, strange discouragement, tension in unexpected places. None of it is random. The enemy has been throwing dust to blur your vision before you step into what I've prepared. He can't stop what I've ordained, but if he divides your focus, he can slow your momentum. He knows your purpose carries weight and that you're close to a shift. That's why everything felt louder and heavier. He's tried to flood you with noise, urgency, chaos, and old thoughts, not to destroy you outright, but to dull your sensitivity. He's hoping you'll doubt what I said and question what you heard. Listen, you did hear me. You're not making it up. That stirring was me. That sense of being pulled into more is real. Resistance isn't a sign you're wrong. It's proof you're close. The enemy doesn't waste energy on what isn't a threat. You've been hit with distractions because heaven is about to place something weighty in your hands. That's why conflicts rose and old temptations resurfaced. Don't give in to the noise. Keep your eyes on me. While the enemy stirs panic, I'm releasing precision. I'm drawing you in with clarity, giving strategy with calm, not pressure. I'm not in the chaos. I'm in the quiet nudge that carries peace. Shut the door on anything that attacks your value, anointing, or direction. If it steals your rest and breeds fear, it isn't me. Recognize the tactic and refuse it. You're not under attack because you're weak. You're being targeted because you're about to carry something significant. You've been trained by storms. You know my voice even when the volume drops. Stand, not in panic, but in what I've already spoken. No weapon formed will prosper when your heart stays rooted in me. This isn't time to retreat, it's time to refocus, to calm your soul, to refuse the chase of distractions. Doors are about to open. Next steps are about to be revealed. When they do, you'll realize the resistance wasn't a wall. It was confirmation you're on the right path. You're not losing ground, you're gaining traction. Stay sharp, stay close, stay steady. and let your spirit say, Amen.